BBC and Fox News. These are the two that I stay true to. CNN, not so much. And Don Lemon didn't make it no better. So yeah, shout out to BBC. And thanks for tuning in. Thanks for commenting, subscribing, and watching the videos. It means a lot as we try to grow this platform. And today we're going to talk about the curse of the Chinese blessing scam in the UK. I know I usually focus the problems and issues in China, but today we're going to take it to the UK as there's Chinese people all over the world. So it's okay to dip in and out of other countries with Chinese people and Chinese culture. Let's go.
For the past few months, I've been investigating a particularly cruel crime. Scammers are targeting older women with Chinese heritage around the world. There are victims in the UK and across North America.
It just felt like she was in some ways hypnotized and manipulated.
They're tricked out of their life savings and valuable jewelry, and they're left wondering, how did that happen? It's called the blessing scam. It plays on people's superstitions and exploits their love for their families.
They put the fear into me so much that I was willing to do anything, for the sake of my son.
Every blessing scam starts in the same way. It's a piece of criminal street theatre in Cantonese. But how does the con work? A stranger in tears comes up to you. They ask you, do you know a Chinese traditional healer in this area?
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me when scammers call from Nigeria to your grandparents' house saying that this is your grandson so-and-so, they're in trouble. They need a few $1,000s to get back to the States when really my cousin was here all along. So you got scammed. Jason was never in Nigeria. Jason was in New York when you got that scam call, Grandma. Yeah, it happens all the time. You'd be surprised.
My family member's really sick. You say, sorry, I don't know them. Then a second lady appears. She says, oh, I know him. He cured my husband. I can take you to him. Let's go together. The two women take you down a quiet side street. They're very insistent that you need to help. You might protest, but then a third lady joins. Guess what? She knows the healer. She's his granddaughter. The women have been acting like they don't know each other. But this is the moment where they pile on the pressure and they flip the story onto you. They warn you that one of your family members is in danger and they're being threatened by an evil spirit.
And you're the only person that could help. So that's why we came to you. Which is not the case. They want you to think that because you got to remember, in the older generation, which is the silent generation, they usually go out their way to help people, right? At least that's what scammers assume. That's why they prey on the elderly. Because they figure the elderly will help them out more than a millennial or Gen Z person would. And next thing you know, they scam this older person out of their life savings. And now they're ready to just go to the grave because you robbed them of everything. And you're heartless and you don't care. You made a few bucks. Good for you. Savages, man. Oh, shoot. What happened?
The scammers tell you that you can save your relative's life if you let them perform a blessing over a bag of your cash and valuables, which they'll help you get from home. They promise that you can get this back at the end. But during the blessing, the bag is switched for another bag that looks and weighs the same, and the gang makes off with your life savings.
Right.
Meng Ni, can you tell me what happened to you?
Yes, I got scammed actually by 3 women.
Meng Ni was approached in a West London street while she was on her way to yoga. The scammers persuaded her that evil spirits threatened her family.
She then said, something's going to happen to your son if you don't act within the next 3 days, but...
And see, as an elderly person, the last thing you want is one of your family members to become a victim of some kind of stupid crime. So being that the world is a crazy place as it already is, more than likely you believe something's going to happen to your son, your grandson, or one of your relatives, right? And you'll do anything in your power to prevent that. Which is nice, but it's not nice when it's not true.
The healer can help you, and he will do some ritual which will alleviate this bad fortune. Of course, you want your children to be safe. But they put the fear into me so much that I was willing to do anything, you know, for the sake of my son.
Terrified for her son, Meng Ni went to collect valuables to be used in a blessing ceremony to protect him. One of the scammers accompanied her to help.
So I went along with it, went to my home. She walked with me to my home. I went in and collect all my jewelry, and then I had to go to the bank, and she came with me to the bank as well. We took the bus there. And yeah, I withdrew some cash, and then after that we went back to the original place where we met. We met the other two ladies again.
The scammers performed a blessing ritual in the street. Meng Ni's bag of valuables was placed in another bag with some items supposedly blessed by the healer, and then it was handed back to her.
They've got really nimble fingers. They are so fast. I didn't even see it. And then she says, now you have to go home now, and don't stop by anywhere, just go straight home.
What was inside the bag when you got home?
Just a bottle of water, a loaf of cake, and a brick.
Whoa, did I really just hear that? Basically, they're being courteous because they took everything else away from you, and you can't afford, after they get through taking everything from you, you won't even be able to afford a water, loaf, and a cake of brick. Wow. A brick. That's crazy, man.
My blood just drained out of me. Just felt hopeless and stupid. I felt very, very stupid.
One of the reasons why the scam works so well is because many Chinese families have heirlooms and jewellery made of gold, silver and jade. There's a belief, especially amongst older people, that these items have protective powers, and if they're used in the blessing, then it makes the protection spell even more powerful.
I've had my jewelry for like 40 years, you know? They are memories, something from my mom, you know? Yeah.
I'm trying to understand.
We call it generational jewelry. Generational jewelry has powers left behind, secrets left behind, powers left behind. So yeah, that jewelry is not only special, but it's valuable at that too. Generational jewelry. Pass it down to your kids, grandkids, to your great-grandkids, and to the next generation.
What happened? Would you say that you're a spiritual person?
I think because I was brought up with going to temples with my mom, and then we do offerings, we give gifts of money. So maybe in a sense it's kind of relatable, you know, and make me believe that maybe somebody who knows how to do the offerings and the rituals and to heal the other person or to get rid of whatever curse there is.
That's crazy. You know, it's just like in most Asian countries, they have Buddha, even in Japan. So that's something that Japan and China have in common. They have you'll see the Buddha statues, even in Korea. What other countries? I can't think of everything off the top of my head, but I don't think the Philippines was one of them. But Taiwan, you have Malaysia, you have, I think Indonesia was one of them. I don't know. I gotta do my research, but I'm just freestyling my thoughts right now. And yeah, London was the first place that I went to internationally 10 years ago. I can't believe it, and I gotta renew my passport.
Miles away on the other side of London, the blessing scam is claiming more victims.
So my mum's been coming here for over 30 years, and sometimes she comes on a weekly basis, on a Thursday or a Saturday. So the place is really familiar to her.
On a shopping trip here in May, Tue Van Huyn's mother was conned in a similar way to Meng Ni. The thieves got away with cash and family jewellery, so Tue turned detective.
So when my mum told us what happened, we asked her if we can revisit the location and just walked through the steps and then noted where all the CCTV cameras were. And I came back and went to local businesses and shops to see if I can actually retrieve it.
In the CCTV, you can see one of the women walking ahead while Tue's mum follows, flanked by the other two scammers. We've blurred her face to protect her identity.
You see the three of them coming? So you can also see like the lady quite close to my mum.
She's pressing her shoulder up against your mum.
Exactly.
And see, to you guys that are criminal-minded, you're probably wondering, how come they just won't pull the guns out? Well, number one, handguns are illegal in the UK. That's why they're more humane over there. There's not a lot of... But then, don't get it twisted, though. There's still people getting jabbed over there, though. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah. She never leaves my mum's side. That's the one that went to my mum's house.
A doorbell camera filmed one of the scammers leaving Tue's mum's house after helping collect valuables for the blessing ceremony. Tue and I retraced the route to where her mum was tricked out of her possessions. So this is where it happened?
Yeah, so this is where the three ladies led my mum to do the blessing. And, you know, she took all her valuables, so the gold, the cash in a bag, and somehow, while they were like distracting and talking to her, they did the exchange here.
Security camera footage shows Tue's mum with a plastic bag containing thousands of pounds in cash and her jewellery. Unbeknown to her, the women switched the bags, and after she got home, she discovered her valuables had been replaced with water bottles. How's your mum been coping since this incident?
Well, it's been about 4 to 5 months, and it's been really, really tough. But initially, it was heartbreaking to see her just break down. Like, she wasn't able to eat, she wasn't sleeping. She didn't really have the motivation to go outside because she was scared. So it really debilitated her.
Tue's mother can't explain why she did what the women wanted, so Tue speculated something more than psychological manipulation might have been involved.
Like, why would she just willingly follow these ladies and bring one of them to the house and give all of her valuables and cash? So when I started to research, I came across this drug called Devil's Breath, which is a plant that's based in South America, and it's kind of like being made into a powder where, if breathed in or smelled or touched, I don't really know the exact mechanics, but it can cause someone to lose themselves and follow a person's instructions.
Devil's breath, or scopolamine, is derived from a flower that grows in Colombia. As its nickname suggests, it's a drug with a terrifying reputation. In the right dose, it can reportedly make people highly suggestible, temporarily compromising a person's free will.
Where I am here in Colombia, there's a long history of devil's breath being used to commit crimes. The number of cases tends to go up around when people get paid each month or during large city festivals, city events.
You hear that, passport bros? Watch your backs. Devil's breath will get you.
I spoke to a toxicologist who's a doctor here at a clinic in Medellin who's used to treating people at least a few times a month who might have been robbed or sexually assaulted under the influence of devil's breath.
Damn.
He told me criminals most often slip the drug into a drink, but in the street they might also spray it into a victim's face as a mist or a perfume.
You know, a few months ago, I did make a video on that. It was a new drug that they're using in South America, mainly Colombia, to where they diluted it in a spray bottle, but they didn't say it was from that plant. They didn't say it was devil's breath. They called it something else. So I'm not sure. Anyway, watch your back.
Now, what happens after that is the victim becomes compliant within just a few minutes, and they might hand over their money or their ATM pin or whatever it may be without much of a struggle. Afterwards, that person may have memory loss or even complete amnesia of what happened.
Well, I mean, that's better than being scammed right in front of your own eyes. So you really can't get depressed off of something that you don't remember doing. So, devil's breath. Wow. I'm pretty sure several people tried to slip that in North America. Probably wasn't successful, but hey, money talks. If you give it to the right authority, they'll slip it in.
So is devil's breath being used in blessing scams in Britain? The drug passes through the body very quickly, so it's difficult to test for, but none of the blessing scam victims I've spoken to believe they were drugged. Devil's breath is quite an extreme theory. And there hasn't been any firm evidence that it's being used here in blessing scams?
No, not really, but looking at the characteristics of my mum and how she behaved and my research, it does lead me to believe that that could be the case.
However, a fraud expert has identified other reasons why the criminals are so effective at gaining people's trust.
I think this particular scam is so successful because you are getting people that
Hey, and not to get off subject, a perfect example of this for you movie heads out there, if you watch the recent movie The Beekeeper, look at how it starts off. It starts off with Felicia Rashad, if you guys remember her from The Cosby Show back in the 80s. That was the infamous sitcom, infamous black sitcoms, 80s, 90s, the best sitcoms of all times, right? But check out how that movie started. It started out with Felicia Rashad being scammed out of her life savings, pretty much. And I ain't gonna tell you the rest, but
mirror you in terms of, you know, they look like you, they're female, you know, they could possibly be of a similar age to yourself. They are speaking their own language. It's a gentle introduction, and then they will be working up, won't they, towards, well, this is what needs to happen next. And then if another person joins the scenario, you already feel at ease with that first person. So you're not necessarily seeing any red flags that make you walk away.
Police in the US, Canada and Australia have issued public warnings about the scam. 2A is trying to publicise the issue in the UK, where the crime is less well known.
So seeing the impact it had on my mum, and then after researching myself and seeing how far the crime goes in terms of the different areas and the other people that's been impacted, I decided to create a campaign to try and raise, well, predominantly awareness, so other people wouldn't be they wouldn't fall victim to this. And from that campaign, all of these other cases started to arise, and victims started to come forward and tell me their stories, which is absolutely crazy. And it's not just London, it's also in Liverpool, Manchester and Birmingham.
the other large cities, which are less expensive in the UK. I wouldn't move to those places though, because, you know, water pressure issues in the flats and everything.
Meanwhile, the criminals are still at large.
For me, it's Chinese people scamming Chinese people, which really makes me angry, you know, and I want the public to be aware of this. I want them to stop, not to con innocent people, and maybe live a decent life, you know. Like I said, karma will come back, you know. If you do good on this earth, I believe you will be rewarded.
Me too.
But if you're hurting other people, you think you can make easy money while the rest of the world is working so hard for that.
So yeah, that's the video on this. So it makes a lot of sense. So thank you for checking this out. I know it's a different approach from what I usually talk about, but I thought it was interesting. If I see something interesting video, I'm gonna do a review on it. Shout out to BBC. Thank you. Peace.